What would you think if I told you that the decline of your muscle isn't just about age? It's about the choices on your plate, and that something as simple, as creamy, as delicious as cheese could hold the power to reverse it. Sarcopenia, the silent thief of strength, begins its work quietly after the age of 30, stealing up to 5% of muscle mass per decade if left unchecked. By the time you cross 60, you're not just facing a few aches or a bit of fatigue. You're confronting a biological transformation that can affect your balance, your independence, even your identity. The fear of falling, of not being able to rise from a chair, of watching your body weaken despite your will. This fear is real, and yet, hidden within the folds of your refrigerator, there are foods that don't just nourish, but fight back. Just imagine this. You're standing at the dairy aisle, surrounded by 100 choices, but only 3 of them could become your allies in this battle. 3 cheeses, deeply rooted in centuries of tradition, but now illuminated by modern nutritional science as potent weapons against muscle loss. Not simply rich in protein, but engineered by nature to deliver powerful doses of leucine, casein, calcium, and bioactive peptides, all essential in the orchestration of muscle protein synthesis, hormonal balance, and mitochondrial function. The first is a cheese of ancient Alpine origin, aged, firm, and dense in character. Parmigiano Reggiano. It is not merely a flavor enhancer for your pasta. It is a microbiological marvel. With over 30% protein by weight and one of the highest natural leucine concentrations found in dairy, this cheese activates the mTOR pathway, the very engine of muscle synthesis. For someone over 60 whose mTOR response has dulled with age, this activation is nothing short of revival. In one serving, Parmigiano provides almost the same leucine content as a scoop of whey protein, but accompanied by enzymes and peptides fermented over 24 months that ease digestion and reduce inflammation. Those who struggle with dairy intolerance often find they digest Parmigiano with surprising ease, because its lactose content is virtually zero, broken down during its long, patient aging process. But protein alone is not the answer. Muscle does not rebuild in isolation. It needs support, from calcium to regulate muscle contraction, from magnesium to reduce cramps and fatigue, from vitamin K2 to shuttle calcium into the bone and away from the arteries. Parmigiano provides all of this in a matrix so bioavailable, it is absorbed more efficiently than from most supplements. It is not a food, it is a functional medicine, aged to perfection. And yet, Parmigiano is not the only warrior in your corner. There is another, soft, French, veiled in white rind and mystery, Brie. At first glance, its creamy, indulgent appearance may seem unfit for the disciplined language of health. But Brie is no hedonist's delight. It is a metabolic ally. Rich in conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, Brie modulates body composition, reduces fat deposition, and may enhance testosterone production, a critical factor for both men and women over 60, as hormonal declines deepen the sarcopenic slide. CLA, studied for decades, has shown consistent potential in preserving lean mass during periods of reduced activity or caloric intake, conditions all too common in older adults. Brie's softness also means it is higher in moisture, easier to chew, and more palatable for those with dental challenges or reduced appetite. And its fermentation process creates probiotics that aid not only digestion, but immune modulation. Because muscle preservation isn't just about macronutrients, it's about reducing chronic inflammation. Sarcopenia is, in part, an inflammatory disease. Brie's microbial richness feeds your gut, which in turn signals your brain, your endocrine system, and even your muscle stem cells to perform better. And still, there's a third cheese, one overlooked, misunderstood, and often dismissed as bland. But within its unassuming form lies a secret power: cottage cheese, especially the high-protein, low-fat varieties now engineered for performance, containing both casein and whey in their natural form. Cottage cheese offers a slow-digesting protein matrix ideal for nighttime muscle repair. Eat it before bed, and its amino acids trickle into your bloodstream for hours, sustaining an anabolic environment even while you sleep. Studies have shown that consuming 30 grams of protein before bed particularly from slow-releasing sources like casein, leads to measurable improvements in muscle mass and strength, especially in older adults who are often in a net catabolic state overnight. Add to that the convenience, the affordability, the mild taste that blends with both sweet and savory, and cottage cheese becomes not just a food, but a daily strategy. Sarcopenia is not a sudden illness, it is erosion. And just as erosion is slow, so too is recovery, built meal by meal, gram by gram, day by day. But with the right foods, the right knowledge, and the right timing, the body can surprise you. It can adapt. It can heal. And it begins with what's on your plate. These cheeses are not just nourishment, they are encoded signals. When they enter the body, they don't simply break down into calories. They activate switches, they instruct muscle fibers to grow, to resist decay, to regenerate. Each bite of cottage cheese before bed is a message to your cells. Repair now. Every crumble of aged Parmigiano is a call to rebuild, to reverse loss. Brie, with its delicate complexity, is a biochemical whisper that inflammation will not win. But this is where the story deepens, because muscle is not only a matter of movement, it's a matter of metabolism. Muscle is your metabolic engine. It is where insulin sensitivity is managed, where glucose is stored and burned. When muscle declines, blood sugar spikes, fat accumulates, energy drops. The risks compound: type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, even cognitive decline, all tied to the loss of muscle mass and function. And for those over 60, this becomes a high-stakes equation. You are not just maintaining strength for strength's sake. You are safeguarding your independence, your brain, your ability to walk, to think, to feel vitality. And that means food must do more than satisfy hunger. It must instruct, it must protect, it must rebuild. This is where cheese, of all things, becomes an unlikely hero. It carries with it not only protein, but a pattern of delivery, a timing, a texture, a density that other foods often lack. Take cottage cheese. Because it is rich in casein, a protein that coagulates in the stomach, it slows digestion. It doesn't flood your bloodstream with a spike of amino acids. It provides a slow, sustained release. And why does that matter? Because in older adults, the muscle's ability to respond to protein, what scientists call anabolic resistance, becomes blunted. You can eat the same amount of protein as you did at 30, and your body may absorb far less. The solution: more bioavailable, higher quality proteins, and spreading them throughout the day, especially before sleep, when the body enters its natural repair mode. Researchers from Maastricht University showed that when older adults consumed 40 grams of casein before bed, they not only absorbed it efficiently, but used it to build muscle overnight, a process previously thought to require exercise alone. The takeaway is monumental. Your nighttime snack could be the key to reversing age-related muscle loss. And let's not forget the synergistic role of micronutrients. Vitamin D, which works hand in hand with calcium to regulate muscle contraction, is abundant in certain dairy products, especially when fortified. Magnesium, necessary for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including ATP synthesis, the fuel for muscle contractions, is found in trace but meaningful amounts. Zinc, B12, phosphorus, all quietly doing their jobs, all present in these cheeses, all often deficient in older adults. But perhaps the most fascinating story lies not in the nutrients alone, but in the texture and bioengineering of cheese. Aged cheeses like Parmigiano are pre-digested in a sense. Their proteins are broken down into peptides during months or years of fermentation. These peptides, such as casomorphins and lactotripeptides, are not inert. They can bind to receptors in your gut, your brain, your arteries. Some lower blood pressure, others reduce cortisol, some even promote sleep. This is not science fiction. It is a new frontier in food science where traditional foods are being re-examined under the lens of biofunctionality. And what we are learning is that foods like Parmigiano and Brie and cottage cheese are not just building blocks. They are tools of communication between your food and your physiology. This matters because sarcopenia does not appear overnight. It is the slow accumulation of micro-decisions: skipping breakfast, eating low-protein meals, fearing fat, avoiding dairy. These habits compound until the mirror reflects someone thinner, weaker, older, not just in body, but in spirit. And yet, it is reversible. The human body is astonishingly adaptive. Even at 70, even at 80, it is capable of regrowing muscle fibers, of increasing mitochondrial density, of improving balance and coordination. But it needs the raw materials. It needs the message. And cheese, these three particular cheeses, deliver that message with force, clarity, and depth. Now ask yourself, have you been underestimating what food can do? Have you been seduced by the simplicity of eat less, move more, without realizing that after 60, the rules change? Your body needs more protein, not less. More healthy fats, not fewer. More fermented, nutrient-dense foods, not empty, low-fat promises. Every forkful is an opportunity. Every meal is a lever, and you, even now, are not at the mercy of age. Because here's the truth most people don't hear. Aging is not a passive state. It's an active battlefield. And your muscle, that magnificent, powerful tissue that wraps your bones and moves your body, is your armor. The moment you begin losing it, your protection weakens. But the reverse is also true. Rebuild even a portion of it, and the entire body responds like a reawakened orchestra. Your posture improves, your metabolism sharpens, your confidence returns. And yet, many people continue to believe that strength is built only in the gym, that resistance training is the singular solution. But here's a deeper truth that modern medicine now confirms. Food is the foundation, not the afterthought. If you train without feeding your muscle, you are pulling from a well that never refills. Eventually, fatigue wins. But when you feed muscle the right way, even before training, even without rigorous workouts, growth can begin. And in those over 60, whose digestive efficiency, hormonal signals, and recovery timelines differ, it's not just about what you eat, but when and how. This is where these three cheeses shine. They are more than nutritional entries on a chart. They are designed by nature and refined by tradition to be time-release stimulants for muscle preservation. They bridge the gap between what the body needs and what it can absorb. Take, for instance, the curious case of insulin and leucine. After 60, the pancreas still produces insulin, but the muscle's response to it, the ability to take in amino acids and grow, dulls. What rekindles it? Leucine. And Parmigiano, ounce for ounce, is among the most leucine-rich whole foods in existence. When consumed with a meal, it not only enhances flavor, it primes your metabolic machinery. Brie, though softer, carries its own form of genius, bioactive fats. These fats modulate inflammation, increase satiety, and assist in hormonal conversion processes, including testosterone and estrogen balance, both crucial for maintaining lean mass. And then there's the emotional side, because aging doesn't happen in a vacuum. It is tied to identity, to habits formed over decades, to grief, loneliness, loss of appetite. Food must not only nourish the body, it must call to the spirit. There is power in ritual, in the slicing of brie on a wooden board, in the grating of Parmigiano over roasted vegetables, in the simple spooning of cottage cheese into a bowl at night. These small acts rebuild trust in food, in health, in the body's ability to heal. This is not simply about living longer. It's about living upright, living energized, living with muscle, because muscle is your anti-aging organ, your reservoir of amino acids, your buffer against insulin resistance, your shield against frailty. And yes, all of this can begin with food. Think about what it means to feel strong again. To carry groceries without strain, to rise from a chair without thinking, to climb stairs with certainty. These are not luxuries, they are birthrights, and they are taken quietly when muscle vanishes. But they are also returned quietly when it grows. You have the ability to stop this, not by eating more, but by eating smarter, not by fearing fat, but by embracing it when it serves your biology, not by avoiding dairy, but by choosing dairy that has purpose. Parmigiano Reggiano for its protein density and digestive ease, brie for its functional fats and fermentation, cottage cheese for its slow-digesting casein and nighttime delivery system, combined with moderate physical activity, a simple walk, a few body weight exercises, perhaps even light resistance bands, and your body can respond in miraculous ways. Research has shown that older adults who combine protein-rich meals with minimal strength gain more lean mass than those who exercise without proper nutrition. And often it's not about hitting the gym, it's about what's on your fork. So now, ask yourself again, what have you been feeding your muscle? Because every day, whether you feel it or not, your muscle is either growing or fading. And the foods you choose, the ones you dismiss or embrace, determine which direction you're heading. You are not helpless. Your age is not a barrier. It is a signal that the time to act is now, that every meal matters more than ever before, and that even the most humble everyday ingredients, like cheese, can become your most powerful allies in the battle against decay. It is never too late to rebuild what was lost. And sometimes it begins with something as simple as a bite. The silence that surrounds sarcopenia is perhaps its most dangerous trait. It doesn't shout. It doesn't make a dramatic entrance. It whispers slowly, through a stiff joint here, a stumble there, a loss of appetite, a shrinking sleeve. But behind these whispers is a reality that too few speak about, and even fewer prepare for. By the time most people notice it, sarcopenia has already gripped the foundation of their body. Muscles are not just for motion. They are metabolic powerhouses, immunological sentinels, and even endocrine regulators. They produce myokines, tiny signaling molecules released during muscle contraction, which influence brain health, regulate inflammation, and even protect against cancer. To let your muscles deteriorate is not merely to lose strength, it is to surrender one of the body's most vital systems. But you don't have to surrender, and what's more, you can reverse it. This is where the power of food rises to meet you. 3 cheeses. 3 potent, age-old, time-tested sources of nourishment that speak directly to the body's most urgent needs. They are not flashy, they are not new, but in their modest, grounded presence lies centuries of healing power and modern biochemical precision. Cottage cheese before bed? That's not just a snack, it's a therapeutic strategy. With 25-30 grams of protein per cup and a naturally occurring mix of fast and slow-acting amino acids, cottage cheese sustains muscle growth during the longest fast your body endures, sleep. It becomes your nighttime contractor, rebuilding your structure in silence while the world rests. Pair it with a sprinkle of cinnamon, a few berries, or even a handful of walnuts, and it transforms into a metabolic gift. Brie, that soft delicacy often relegated to special occasions, it holds in its rich texture a rare combination of bioavailable, fat-soluble vitamins, CLA, and microbial richness. For older adults struggling with poor absorption or nutrient imbalances, Brie provides a smooth, easily digestible source of vitamin A, vitamin D, and even K2, all crucial for musculoskeletal health. And its fat profile, often demonized in the past, now celebrated for its anti-inflammatory and hormone-supporting properties. And Parmigiano, that golden crystalline marvel, is not merely a topping, it is a supplement made by nature. A single ounce packs more than 8 grams of protein. But more importantly, it's broken down into peptides that require little effort to absorb, perfect for those with weakened digestion or impaired nutrient uptake. And its high glutamate content, it's not dangerous. It's a flavor molecule that stimulates appetite, encouraging those who may have lost interest in food to eat again. But the story doesn't stop at nutrition. It moves into the emotional core of aging. Food is not just sustenance. For someone over 60, it becomes a bridge to memories, to habits, to connection. Eating cheese isn't just eating. It's slicing into nostalgia, into the dinners once shared with loved ones, into the Sunday breakfasts that defined comfort. When chosen wisely, food reclaims its role not just as medicine, but as meaning. The deeper truth is this: your muscle is not gone. It is dormant, waiting. Beneath the surface, your satellite cells, your muscle stem cells, remain viable. With the right signals, they can activate, they can divide, they can build. This process, once thought impossible after a certain age, is now well documented in geriatric research. Resistance is possible. Growth is possible. Strength is possible. And those signals? They begin with what you eat. Protein-rich, nutrient-dense, bioavailable foods, like these 3 cheeses, light the fuse. You don't need a radical overhaul, you need consistency, precision, and a mindset shift. You are not eating to stay the same. You are eating to change, because to fight sarcopenia is to fight for your independence, for your mobility, for your very identity. It is a fight you do not have to face alone, and it does not begin in a hospital. It begins at your table. It begins in the quiet decision to eat with purpose, to see cheese not as a guilty pleasure, but as a powerful tool, to stop fearing fat, to stop believing that aging is only decline, and to start feeding your body with the reverence it deserves. So the next time you reach into the fridge, ask yourself, is what I'm about to eat building me or breaking me? Choose wisely, because rebuilding is possible, not overnight, but over time, with every bite, every habit, every act of nourishment that tells your body. You are not finished yet. You still have strength to gain, power to reclaim, and a life to live, fully, strongly, boldly. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it to support the channel, share it with your loved ones who might need this information, and subscribe so you won't miss our upcoming content on health, nutrition, and how to stay strong and energized after 60. Your health deserves attention, and this journey starts right here.